Great.
I'm lovely. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So one of Impact Wrestling's biggest successes, for years has been the Knockouts division. There's been a proven track record of Knockouts having, the most viewed segments on the flagship show, Impact Wrestling. I guess my question is, how do you feel about being, part of such an elite group of athletes and performers within the promotion, where there's such an emphasis on the division itself?
Well, I think that is kind of one of the big reasons that I signed Impact in the first place, was because they put so much attention and they dedicate so much time and effort into their women's division. I had the opportunity to sign with a lot of other different companies a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, and I decided to stick with Impact because I knew that I would be special there, as opposed to kind of just being a small fish in a big pond any other place.
Thank you.
Sure, we'll go to a YouTube question that came over from Jamie Weisner. Kind of along some of the things you've been answering already, but we'll throw his question out towards you. What was it like for you when the referee handed you the title and you realized that you weren't dreaming and that, yes, it was real?
Well, like I said, I got really emotional there, and it was awesome. It was really cool to be able to soak in that moment and to just think about how far I've come since the very beginning.
Hey, Jordynne, it's Greg Oliver from Slam Wrestling.
Hi, Greg.
I wanted to ask a little bit about behind the scenes. Cody Deaner just posted a tweet yesterday just talking about all the hard work of the people over 3 days there at the tapings in Vegas. Who are some of the unheralded people there at Impact, maybe people that have helped you along the way, helped develop your persona and your in-ring skills? Are there somebody to stand out for you?
So if we're going to talk about, people that aren't recognized nearly enough, I think that, and this is coming to the top of my mind because this just happened this past weekend, and I've been thinking about it a lot, but it's Jimmy Jacobs. He has such an insane mind for wrestling, and we actually filmed 6 weeks of TV over this weekend, and we usually only do 4, so he was kind of running around like a madman, and I am amazed that he got everything done that he needed to get done. It was just, I don't know how you can do so much in such a short amount of time and still make everything come across as well as he does.
Okay, that's a good answer. And Gail Kim, is she still helping out a lot with the women's division then?
Oh, yeah, Gail's one of the agents for the women, and she's incredible. I mean, what else can I say about Gail? She's one of the main reasons I have the Knockouts title in the first place is because after every match, she gave me just amazing advice each and every time, and she's one of the reasons that, like I said, I am where I am, and I think with her coaching and her mentorship, I've developed so much as a wrestler in terms of just showing emotion in the ring and doing certain things in the ring that I might not have done before. But she's incredible.
Thanks.
Hi, Miss Grace, Mark Madison, Pro Wrestling Post. How are you?
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
So the win yesterday against Taya, what can you say to that specifically? Why was defeating her longest reigning achievements as it is, as opposed to anyone else that might have held the title? Why is it maybe that much more special to you?
Well, I think you just kind of answered your own question. I think because she was the longest reigning Knockouts champion, that's why it was really important and big for me to just win the title in that kind of way,
Okay. And where can you foresee you taking the title internationally? You mentioned Pro Wrestling Eve. Do you see international competition with the title?
Well, obviously I won the belt in Mexico, right? And we film a lot of tapings in Canada. So those are 2 countries already that I'm sure I'll defend the title in. And I think maybe hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll go over to the UK at some point very soon.
So with the division open to anyone competing for it, who do you see as maybe the biggest challenge up to date, really? Your next closest challenge for the title?
As far as the knockouts go?
Yes.
I think Tennille Dashwood, should she come back along, would definitely be the biggest threat to the title.
What is it about Tennille so much that maybe stands out?
I think the fact that she's kind of more known, she's been wrestling a long time. She hasn't ever won the Knockouts title before. I think she'll want to fight for it more than anybody else.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Jordynne, we'll go to a question here from Khalik Simmons, who wants to know, will you challenge for any other title?
Would I challenge?
If you'd like to ask, your input is invalid. If you'd like to ask a question, please press 1 to add yourself to the queue. Otherwise, your request has been received. To remove yourself from the queue, press *6.
So, who was your biggest inspiration that got you into wrestling?
You know, when I first actually started watching wrestling, I don't think anyone in specific inspired me. Just wrestling as a whole kind of amazed me in and of itself. Like, just theatrics, everything about it was just incredible. So there was no one specific person that I was, like, inspired by, I guess. I guess just wrestling as a whole and how incredible the whole entire thing was inspired me.
You may now ask your question.
You're Jordynne, Jim Barcelone with MiamiHerald.com. How do you think life changes for you in and out of the ring now, or does it?
I think I'm going to have to do a lot more media calls. I think I'm going to have to dedicate a lot more time to just Impact in general. I know that having a title is kind of like a spotlight is put on you, so I know that I'm going to have to, fly out earlier, do media stuff and things like that, which I'm totally cool with, but I think that I'll just have more time to dedicate.
And also, tell us about women's wrestling today and how it has evolved in your 10 years.
Oh my gosh. So I'm actually from Texas, and just in Texas, the wrestling took forever to evolve. Just when I first started, there was, with most places, one women's match on the card. But the way that women were treated, especially where I'm originally from, was just horrible. And when I first started wrestling, I was treated kind of that same way. And I don't know if it's because I've kind of grown my name a little bit or because women are more respected in general. But when the Me Too movement happened, everything in wrestling kind of changed with the women. Like, that movement affected everything, wrestling included, and you saw just a drastic change in how we were all treated.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Muted.
Hi, Jordynne. Stephanie from Steel Chat Magazine UK again. My question would be in the same, the continuation of Jim. What are your thoughts on intergender wrestling? Is it something that you're used to do and you're okay to do on Impact? Thank you.
I've done intergender wrestling on Impact. I've been in a couple of battle royals where I did intergender wrestling, and I've always done it since the very beginning of my career. So it's nothing new. It's not a novelty to me. It's just wrestling to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jordynne, we got a question here from John D. He would like to know, what is it like to quite often be the most powerful person in the locker room?
Oh my goodness. Well, that is not a true statement. I'm definitely not the most powerful person, especially when you got guys like Michael Elgin there. But maybe being the strongest knockout is pretty awesome. I've lifted weights ever since I first started wrestling, and before that even then. So probably like 12 years I've been lifting weights. So it's pretty cool to be recognized for that.
How many handstand push-ups are you doing today?
How many? I'm gonna do handstand push-ups, dead legs today, Ross.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Jordynne, it's James from the Wrestling Epicenter again. I wanted to ask you a question about a tweet that you put out a little while ago that kind of caused a lot of discussion, and that was the performance art tweet that you put out there. A little time later, do you still feel that way? Do you still feel that wrestling should be viewed more as a performance art than a sport?
Yeah, it's wrestling is not a sport. Wrestling is a performance art. Obviously, we have predetermined outcomes, and typically, it's supposed to be in sports, there is no predetermined outcome. So wrestling, I'm sure this is going to be used as some kind of clickbait or, whatever, but wrestling is not a sport. It's a performance art, and I'm sorry if that makes anybody upset.
Were you surprised that it upset so many people? Because it seemed to me like it was a pretty innocent comment, and people kind of lost their minds.
I think it's kind of funny, and I think people who like wrestling are very sensitive in that way. They don't want to see it as something like a fantasy, even though that's kind of what it is. And wrestling is portrayed as a sport sometimes, but a lot of the time wrestling is funny or just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know how people can come out and try to defend the fact that it's a sport when we have things like Joey Ryan in wrestling or even The Undertaker. I don't see how that correlates.
Yep. Al Snow once said to me that people shouldn't get so upset about people who pull up their socks and fake fight. Now, obviously, he was being facetious, but it's true. People need to calm down a little bit and maybe not get so riled up over these things.
I completely agree with you.
All right. Thank you again for your time.
Not that serious.
Well, Jordynne, I know you said you had a limited time today. You wanted to get to the gym, so we will cut it at this point. I will give the floor back to you for a final thought as we wrap it up for this week.
Thank you, Ross, and thank you, everybody, for all your questions. This has really been an amazing time for me. Just this past year has been incredible, and 2020 is going to be probably the best year I've ever had. I've won the Knockouts title, and I'm getting married next month, so fingers crossed it's going to be the best year of my life. Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Jordynne, thank you very much. Media, thank you. We will be talking to you again next week.